Rome was the ultimate landlord of the ancient world. They had the Mediterranean in their pocket. They had Gaul paying rent. They had Egypt for the bread. But then there was Germania, a vast, leafy, freezing mess of trees and mud. You'd think the legions would just steamroll through. After all, they were professional killers in fancy plating. The Germanic tribes were mostly just angry farmers with bigger-than-average axes. But Rome never quite sealed the deal. Why? It wasn't just one thing. It was a perfect storm of bad vibes, bad luck, and bad accounting. The story starts with Augustus. He was the CEO of Rome. He wanted a bigger buffer for his empire. The Rhine River was a decent border, but the Elbe River was much better. It was shorter, it was defensible. He sent Drusus, a military rock star, to handle the expansion. Drusus went in like a tactical wrecking ball. He built 50 forts, he dug canals, he sailed the North Sea. He was almost there. He almost made Germania a Roman province. Then he fell off his horse and died. Not the heroic death Rome wanted. It was a bad omen. But Augustus didn't take the hint. He kept pushing. By 9 AD, Rome actually thought they had won. They set up tax collectors, they started building fancy roads, they even hired a local noble named Arminius to lead their auxiliary troops. This was a mistake of legendary proportions. Arminius wasn't just some random tribal guy. He was a Roman citizen. He was a knight. He knew the Roman playbook inside and out. He knew the legions were invincible on an open field, so he decided to never give them one. He tricked the Roman governor, Publius Quintilius Varus, into taking a detour. Varus was a bureaucrat, not a fighter. He led 3 entire legions into the Teutoburg Forest. It was a leafy nightmare. The Roman lines stretched for miles. The ground was a soggy sponge of mud. The tribesmen struck from the dense foliage and vanished. It was a 3-day massacre. By the end, 20,000 Romans were forest fertilizer. Varus fell on his own sword. The 3 legionary eagles were gone. Augustus went into a tailspin. He spent months pacing his palace. He let his hair grow wild. He banged his head against the doors, screaming for Varus to give back his legions. He never got over it. But Rome doesn't take an insult lying down. They sent Germanicus. He was the ultimate revenge seeker. He led a massive army back into the forest. He found the site of the massacre and buried the bleached bones of the fallen. He defeated Arminius in 2 major battles. He burned every village he could find. He got the eagles back. The Roman public was cheering. They thought the conquest was back on. But then the Emperor Tiberius did something shocking. He pulled the plug. He ordered Germanicus to pack up and come home. People were livid. They were winning. Why stop now? The answer is simple: money. Rome was a business empire. Every war had to pay for itself. Gaul had cities, gold, and established trade. Egypt had endless grain. Germania had trees, just endless freezing trees. There were no cities to loot. There were no organized states to collect taxes from. To hold the land, Rome would need to keep 8 legions there forever. They'd have to build roads through thousands of miles of swamp. They'd have to fight a guerrilla war that would never end. It was the world's most expensive swamp. Tiberius looked at the balance sheet and realized it was a disaster. Germania was a black hole for silver and soldiers. It was like buying a luxury villa in a hurricane zone. The political cost was even higher. A general who conquered Germania would be too powerful. He'd be a threat to the emperor himself. Tiberius preferred a quiet, boring border to a superstar general with 10 loyal legions. So Rome gave up. They built the limes. It was a massive fence of wood and stone. They decided that civilization ended at the Rhine. Beyond that was the no-go zone. They stopped trying to conquer the tribes and started paying them to fight each other instead. It was cheaper to buy a barbarian than to kill one. Rome chose the budget over the glory. They traded their ambition for a stable border. Germania stayed wild. The legions stayed behind their walls. The forest remained a mystery. In the end, Rome didn't lose to the Germans. They lost to the accounting department. Germania was just a bad deal. Rome stayed home. History changed forever. Thanks for watching.